Hi Stampers! Today we're going to be making this fancy little card, and I just call it a little flap card because it has a flap that opens up in the center here. And you can still write, there's enough room to write a sentiment here, but it's just kind of a different looking little card, and I just thought it would be great to do. So we're going to get started. So what you're going to be using is a piece of the 8.5 by 11 cardstock. You're going to cut on the 11-inch side 4 1/4, and then you're going to score down the 5 1/2. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our scoring blade here, and on the front of the card, which will be whichever side you decide, you're going to go ahead and 2 1/2 inches from the edge, open it up, and then 2 1/2 inches from the edge, you're going to cut this piece off. So this gives you this. This piece is actually going to be your flap. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start kind of decorating this. So I'm going to be using the paper from, this is called the Polka Dot Parade, if I could say it. And what we're going to do, and this is 12 by 12 normally. I have used some of this already though. So we're going to go ahead and put this in the trimmer. And we're going to cut this at 4 inches. And then we're going to need 2 strips out of this. So we're going to cut a strip of, let's see, 2 3/4, which is about there. And then we're going to also cut a strip of 2 1/4. And then we need one other little strip, about 1/2 inch. Still at 4 inches though, of course. So we're still using that same strip. So there we go. So those are pretty much all the pieces that we need for the front of our card. As far as the designer paper. So we can actually kind of start putting this part together. So this is going to be going on the flap. And that's the one, that's the 2 1/4 piece. And then this paper is two-sided. So what we're going to do is one of them we're going to flip over this way and use that as our accent piece. And that's going to be on this side of the flap. And center it about there. We're not going to attach this just that because we have to do another little something here. So the next little part that we're going to do is we're going to take this small piece and attach a piece of scallop border trim. This is out of the Whisper White paper, and we're going to cut this 4 inches by about 1 inch or so, and we're going to use this scallop trim border punch and go ahead and punch that out. So I'll go ahead and do that real quick. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and trim this down a little bit because we don't need quite that huge of a piece. And this is just going to be attached to the paper, so the designer series paper. So we'll go ahead and cut off a little bit of that, maybe even just a little more. So that's going to be maybe about 1/2 inch or so, just because you don't want that showing through that piece. And then we're going to attach that border to this little piece of cardstock here. I don't know how well you can see that against the white on the white, but I'm going to trim this just a little tiny bit. It looks like I've got this a little bit off here. Okay. And then that's going to go across there like that. And then the next little thing we're going to do is we're going to start stamping before we put this all together. So we're going to take another piece of white cardstock. Again, this is kind of scrap paper. I'm going to be using from the set, this is called Bring on the Cake. I love this set. Look at how much you get for this. This is like 2 packages of sayings and little images. It's really cute. So today we're going to be using the Happy Birthday stamp out of there, and of course the Bring on the Cake saying. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your Stays on ink. This is the black Stays on ink. going to go ahead and stamp that in black. Then we're going to clean off our stamp really good. And we're going to take a pumpkin pie marker. And we're going to go ahead and just fill in where the happy birthday is. I'm going to be using the brush end. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of do that. Because we're going to take this little saying and we're actually going to cut it out just to accent the center. So we're going to have a little, the happy birthday right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the bring on the cake. And again, we'll do this in Stays On. It just is a little darker color. Plus, when you use the Stays On ink, you can go ahead and color in it, and you won't have that running from the markers, and it won't smear together, so it just works out really, really nice. So we're going to go ahead and color this in. I'm going to use a little bit of real red ink. I'm going to do the little scallop here and color that in. And you can see how fast this goes. It really doesn't take much time, and you certainly don't have to be good at coloring or painting. Just kind of stay within the lines if you can. Then I've got a crumb cake marker here, and we're going to go ahead and just kind of color in the tray. Give it a little shadowing there. And then the candles, what I'm going to do later on when we're all finished with the card is we're going to go ahead and use our dazzling diamonds on the tips of the candles. So we're not going to color those in. As far as the cake, the word cake, we're going to color that in a little bit. We'll give it a little bit of red in here, and some pumpkin pie, and maybe a little bit of Daffodil Delight, a little yellow. So we'll get some different colors in that. And again, I'm using the brush end of this. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can always use the smaller end of your Stampin' Right marker. Gives you a little bit more control. So whatever works for you is fine. And maybe I'll just use this again. I was going to use Daffodil Delight, but I don't see it on my table, so I'll show you. You can color in with this one as well. Gives you a little bit more control, but it does take a little bit more time. Anyway, so that's all nicely colored in. And you can make it whatever colors you want, obviously. So we're going to go ahead and cut out that happy birthday. I'm going to cut it out pretty close to the edges with my trimmer, so we won't have a lot of room around the image itself. So we'll kind of do this a little bit quickly here. As far as the saying, we'll go ahead and just use the scissors on that. I'll just feel a little more comfortable with that because it's such a small, tiny image, but do as you wish. So we've got this part cut out, and then we'll go ahead and cut out the bring on the cake as well while I'm here. And as you can see, I love this trimmer. So awesome. And of course you can get this a little smaller if you want to too. So we'll go ahead and we've got that pretty much cut out, maybe just a little bit smaller. Got that a little close to the edge, but you get the idea. And then we'll go ahead and cut out the happy birthday from here. I'm just going to use the scissors for that. And that's going to go in the center, like that. And that's all there is to that. So we'll go ahead and start putting our card together. So I'm going to put the happy birthday in the center using a little bit of snail runner. Alright. And then the next little part that we need to do is we're going to be doing some background pieces for our little wording and our little cake. I've already kind of pre-cut some of these so we don't have to do a lot of cutting. These are kind of scrap pieces that I've used too. So let's see if this fits on here a little bit better. That might work better. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and use this piece. So for the pumpkin pie, for the front, it's probably going to measure about 2 by 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut that real quick on my trimmer. And then we'll do the same thing with the other piece, just to kind of border around it, just to make it look a little bit brighter and stand out a little bit more. You can also just use the scissors on that if you want. Oh, that's not too even, so let's even that out a little bit. There you go. And then we'll go ahead and do the same thing with our Bring on the Cake. It's a little too big too, so we'll go ahead and trim this down slightly. And basically all we have to do then is start putting this together. So it's a pretty fast little project to do, and you don't waste a lot of paper, which is great because you're using all the paper from here, so that's wonderful. So now we'll kind of put this together. We're going to go ahead and put this strip on the front and just kind of line it up with your other polka dot paper. And then this little piece we're going to attach with dimensionals. So we'll go ahead and put a couple of those on the back here. There we go. And then the inner piece we'll do in just a second here. So we're going to go ahead and attach this, and you want the edges of the card with the edges of the flap. So you've got it about that much room to go ahead and attach it. So what I do is I put a little pencil mark in the back here, because you don't want to put snail all the way across, of course. So just put a little pencil mark in the back just so you know where you should put your snail. And go ahead and put your snail down. And then we'll go ahead and attach that to the front of the card. There we go. And then that way you know exactly where the snail is. If that pencil mark bothers you, you can go back and erase it a little bit, but it's usually not too visible. And then your last little Bring on the Cake, of course, we're going to just put that on the inside flap. And that's all there is to it. So a really cute little birthday card for somebody really special. If you want to just go ahead and do that extra little decorating, you can take your dazzling diamonds and give those candles a little bit of extra iridescent light, which I love this little sparkly stuff. So, or you could put little rhinestones on here, you know, really decorate it up. And this can be a card used for just about anything. Hope you enjoyed that. Have a great day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.